All right, welcome everybody to episode 3 of Brain and the Beard. My name's Tommy the Beard, and I'm sitting virtually across from the Brain. Marky, he's up in New York, and I'm back in my house down in Maryland here. And we're going to talk today about the Jets' 28-14 loss against the Patriots, and we are also going to, touch on that college football semifinal between Clemson and Ohio State because, big draft implications there. But before we do that, Marky's going to start us off talking a little bit about Adam Gase. So before we do that, Marky, how you doing, buddy?
Feeling great. Obviously not the outcome we wanted today, week 17. We're filming this right after the game ended. It's about 6:30 right now. So, we went into this optimistic, right? Like, I know you were always rooting Jets hard.
Always.
I was teetering a little bit, during the whole tankathon. But, this was a week where we could really go in and root for these Jets. But with that being said, before we get to the game, Adam Gase, a lot of rumors coming in, right, that he would have been fired after this game today on Sunday, no matter what. As of right now at 6:30, there isn't any official breaking news, but we do expect that whether it's tonight or tomorrow. Black Monday is the big day where everyone gets fired. So we could see it tomorrow. I'd assume they'd let him get back to New York, right? They're not going to fire him while he's on the bus or the plane, whatever it is, back
Lane Kiffin style on the tarmac.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think we'll hear that either later tonight or tomorrow. When it comes to Gase, I mean, we all know this. It's time to move on. He was brought in to develop Sam Darnold. You've just seen Sam Darnold regress over the past couple of seasons since Gase has been here. He was better under Bates and Todd Bowles, right? So how did this not work at all? How did he get worse with this so-called guru, right?
The QB whisperer.
Exactly. And, his record with the Jets, I believe, was 9-23, which was honestly shockingly good for how bad he's been, right? I wouldn't have even expected him to win 9 games in 2 seasons.
Well, would they win 6 out of their last 7 last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to talk ill about, you don't want to, kick a guy when he's down if he is going to lose his job. So you don't want to talk bad about someone. So I do wish him the best if he, I think it's inevitable that he's going to be fired. I wish him the best going forward. I don't think he'll be a head coach, but I think he'll go back into that, O coordinator, QB coach style role, whether it's college, pro, maybe high school, who knows? But I wish him the best. If this is the end of it, it wasn't a great run for us.
But it's over, fans. Right? It's over.
But so tides are going to change here for us. Hopefully, bring a new coach in. But before we, obviously we're going to have to talk about Sam Darnold here today. But what do we got so far? Let's talk today's game. We lost 28-14 against the Patriots up in Foxborough on a cold, rainy, snowy day. So, Marky, what's your takeaway from today? Maybe who do you got? Who you think might have stood out for us? Even in defeat, who kind of stood out for the Jets today?
For me, it was really just one guy that popped off, the screen for me, a guy that underperformed a lot of the season, a guy that people had high hopes for coming into this season after a down year last year. I think everyone thought the Chris Herndon, big season was coming here in 2020. It didn't happen. He had a brutal start, but these last couple of weeks he's been progressing. He's looking like, the Chris Herndon that we know and that we expected. And he had that great touchdown grab over the middle.
That was a gutsy catch too. Gutsy. He went up there and took a hit.
Yeah, and I believe he had 7 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. So just an all-around great game. That's what you expect for your tight end, being a security blanket for your QB, I guess your young QB still, right? And I think that he's a guy that's shown that he will be a valuable piece and that we could write him into the offense going into 2021.
So yeah, for sure. And tight ends have always been something that have killed the Jets, and it's something, we really haven't been that strong at. I mean, Dustin Keller was pretty good in our little run, many moons ago. But since then, we kind of been struggling for tight end. And, hopefully, it's nice to see Herndon kind of step up. And hopefully next year he could take even that next step forward. I definitely think that'll be beneficial for us as a club.
Absolutely. That was really my only big positive out of this game. I thought Sam looked, decent in the first half. Second half, it just fell off. So let's kick it to you. Is there any guys that stood out?
Yeah, I definitely think Herndon, like you said, he played a good game for us. I think Crowder played, the way Crowder plays. Perriman played all right. I think the receivers did play decent. Berrios got involved a little bit. I'll give credit to Josh Adams and Ty Johnson. I think they both, in Frank Gore's absence, I wouldn't say they killed it. I wouldn't say their stats were, jaw-dropping by any, stretch of the imagination. But, they ran hard. They ran downhill. the guys still looked like they were, a 2-13 team game. They were still playing hard. I think those guys ran downhill pretty good. So credit to them. I don't think our defense played too great today. We were facing a not very good quarterback in Cam Newton. And he kind of had his way with us. He had 3 touchdowns. He hasn't done that, in a couple of years. He rushed for, 75 plus yards. I don't know the exact number. I don't think our D played that great today. But, season's over now, water under the bridge. And obviously later on, we'll not in today's episode, but later on down the road, we'll do more of a full season kind of recap.
Exactly.
On everything. But what we need to talk about is Sam Darnold, I think.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold,
question.
23 of 34, 266 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. I think in the first half, Sam was looking like, hey, man, I want to be this quarterback next year. He looked all right for us. We're, 14 up, I think, going into half. And he had a real chance in the second half to kind of, I'm not going to say solidify his job because, Joe Douglas is going to make his decision on that regardless of, kind of what Sam did today.
And the new coach.
Yeah, it definitely could have, helped his case today if he would have went into the fourth quarter and, the second half, of, a Jets-Pats game and, came out and won the game. But, he threw 2 terrible picks. He almost got, he got away with the shovel pass, which was almost a fumble. It's just he did not come to play. And I'm not talking those picks were bad. And if anybody knows me, they know that I am a diehard Sam Darnold fan. He's at the helm for the Jets, so he's my guy, and I was pulling for him. If he is our quarterback next year, I'm okay with that. But I definitely think today hurt him, coupled with the fact that Justin Fields went up, and lit it up. And we'll get into that in more depth in a second here. But I think Sam might have felt the pressure a little bit in the second half today. I think you can almost see his emotions after the second pick. It kind of looked like the guy with the look on his face, hey, I just lost my job here. So I love Sam. I'm the biggest, Sam fan. I want that to be known. But I think today might have hurt his chances of being the Jets quarterback.
Yeah. And this is my take on Sam's performance today. Like you said, in the first half, I honestly, going into the half 14-14, his stats were great. He was above 150 yards. He had the touchdown. But I didn't feel like the play was matching that stat sheet. There was so many plays where I'm just like, come on, Sam, you got to make that play. Or is this the offense that we envisioned when we once crowned him the savior? And I was all in on that. But then, once we start progressing through the half, he kept playing. You're you know what, maybe he is going to save his job, or maybe he's just going to let make Joe D think twice about it, right? But then once we got into that second half, he was taking sacks. He wasn't playing with urgency when we were down in the fourth quarter, and then he threw the 2 brutal picks that you mentioned.
He threw the picks, the shovel pass fumble.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a forward pass, but I could see it going a different way on replay, based off the call on the field. And let's not forget about I don't remember if it was first or second half, but he threw a ball
should have been
that was going directly into the defender's hand, and Crowder just made a great play coming back, getting the 2 toes down. So he very easily could have had 3 picks and a fumble. So that's definitely not what you want to put on tape on your last game of the season. That's not the taste you want to leave. That's the taste in the mouth of Joe Douglas.
Yeah,
his performance there. I kind of butchered that line. My bad. But it's all good. Let's all right. So not sort of switch gears because I think it's still along the same lines. But we were talking about we got the number 2 pick. We're locked in at the number 2 pick, and I was big on Sam last time we spoke, but after watching Justin Fields go up against Clemson, the mighty Clemson, and my man was putting on a performance. He was throwing dots. He was a gritty performance. He got, drilled in the rib cage. He was hurting, went into the tent, took a shot or 2 of cortisone, I would assume. Came back out. He went up for 6 touchdowns. He threw 1 pick, but it was a tip ball wobbler. So I'm not going to say that I want to run Sam out of town. I'm okay with if we still go with the tackle. I'm okay if we trade back. Any of the above. But if we decide and Joe D decides, hey, Fields is a gamer, we're taking Fields. After watching him, I'm okay with that. And I'm obviously going to keep a close eye on the championship game. But if this kid goes out and beats Bama, we better take this kid.
No, there's no question.
If he goes out and beats Bama, he's a gamer. He's ready to go. Yeah. So, unbelievable game by him. And, before I kick it over to you and your thoughts on the game, another takeaway I had, and I know Jets fans, I think we could kind of, after watching that game, take a step back and kind of breathe, because, the whole focus or the talk of the town was how we lost the Lawrence sweepstakes. And, he didn't impress me all that much in that big game.
No.
He showed, look, he's still the number one pick. He's still a generational talent, but he showed that he's human.
Exactly.
And Justin Fields showed that he could play to that level of play. So I think that game, I don't think it hurt Lawrence's draft stock by any stretch of the imagination, but I definitely see, the human aspect of him. He looked down. He looked like he didn't look like he wanted to win the game on the sideline. He was kind of like, he almost looked pouty a little bit. But so I think Jets fans can, kind of step back and be okay with that. So
exactly.
What are your takes?
All right, so my big takeaway is this. At the end of the day, after watching Justin Fields on Friday night and the absolute just gem of a performance he put on, I think he threw 385. He had 385 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick that you mentioned, and he just outdueled the number one pick, right? Like, they've always been 1A, 1B, whether it's high school, whether it's recruiting camps, whether it's college up until this point. Probably ended Trevor Lawrence's career. He just looked like the better player. Like you mentioned, Trevor Lawrence will go number one. And I'm fine with sitting at 2 with Justin Fields there. And he just took over that game. And I can't sit there as a Jets fan and be like, we're not going to be better off by leaving him, letting a different team take him. Like, there's only one decision to be made for the Jets. And I think the clear option is to draft Justin Fields at number 2. Sam Darnold, today's performance, I don't think he's going to hurt his trade value by today's performance, but he definitely did not
he didn't help
go in there and take his job. You know what I mean? Declare that his job. And I just think it's no brainer. It's Justin Fields. He just looked so good. His deep ball was so accurate. Like you mentioned, it was a gritty performance. He was coming off a brutal rib shot. Comes out, and I think he threw 4 touchdowns after that. And like you said, this Bama game, who knows what's going to happen. Let's hope he goes out and has a great performance. But I know going into that game Friday night, you can ask anyone I watched the game with, I was treating that like it was a Jets game. I was just so locked in on Justin Fields. I mentioned it in the podcast, the first episode we recorded over a week ago, and I was just like, Jets fans should just be so in on this Sugar Bowl. Like, imagine our reaction when Justin Fields, if he goes out there and outduels Trevor Lawrence. And what happened? He went out there and he outdueled Trevor Lawrence. So I'm just so excited that happened.
I think as a Jets fan, if we do take Fields, it'll be nice because the takeaways I had, from how he plays, his career in general, but like even you saw it like really come to the light in this past weekend against Clemson. He throws a fastball, man.
Yeah.
He looks like a pitcher on the mound. Like I think that first touchdown he threw to the tight end where the kid kind of caught it on his back shoulder. Man, he put everything he had is that he fit into a tight window. But the thing that I would be excited about if he did come to New York is look, he definitely has that kind of sense of swagger to him.
He's got that moxie, like Baker, you know what I mean? Like that.
So I think that might give us a little bit of a jolt of life, but also I love how mobile he is, man. He's proven he's not afraid to, run the ball, take
the hit. Yeah, exactly.
But like the dude can move. And I think with the combination, if we bring in the right coach, and I'm talking, maybe bring in one of these college coaches to sort of not run a college offense, but definitely have some of the college mindset involved, the read option or similar to how the Ravens play a little bit. I'm not saying make that your offense, but you have that in the bag then. Like, he could definitely move. He could definitely and he throws a beautiful ball. So I know if you listen to our previous podcasts, I'm all in on Sam, and I still love Sam. And if he's my quarterback next year, I'm 100% okay with that. But Justin Fields, like, I had a
He's
smile
the guy.
on. I actually had a smile on my face, like watching that game. I have no ties to Clemson or no ties to Ohio State. I guess my tie would be Miami through you. So I was rooting against Clemson, but I think it was his 5th or 6th touchdown when he hit the deep ball late in the game. I threw my hands up in the air like I was watching a Jets game. I was kind of hyped up. So if that maybe is a glimpse at our future, I think we're going to be all right.
We should just draft his boys too. Take Olave, take Sermon. Just bring his boys in.
You're a little bit better with all the draft analysis. What about this as an option? Trading back. So you still have your first pick, first round pick, but you trade back, get another first round pick, and someone takes a 2 spot. What if we trade back a couple spots and got that the wide receiver from Bama, Devontae Smith?
While it's definitely tempting and like there'll be options if you trade back, if you truly like if Joe Douglas evaluates our situation and doesn't feel comfortable moving forward Darnold, which I guess in that situation it wouldn't really apply there, but I do feel like we need a quarterback, right? And you don't trade down if you have a QB you have an eye on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I think you just pull the trigger at 2. You build this team around Justin Fields. You restart that rookie contract, like QB contract clock, so you could just build around him. You win. A lot of good teams win championships with their QBs on that rookie deal. We have a ton of like cap space. We have a ton of draft picks. Like we could build this the right way, and I think Justin Fields is the guy to build around.
And I think
I'm all in on him.
I think with the young defensive core that we have right now, who did prove to play decent this year, especially since Frank Bush took over, I definitely think that young core, I don't think we're as far away as people might think. I'm not saying next year we're going to be a playoff team. I don't, hopefully, fingers crossed. But I don't think we're as far away as people might think. So I think, we got – tough way to end the season, 2-14, and any Jets fan will tell you it stinks to lose to the Pats, right?
No, exactly. I also saw a stat. I think that was Sam Darnold today was his first touchdown pass ever against the Pats in his 3 seasons.
And I know he has like 6 picks
in
3 games, but he's only played them 3 times.
Yeah, so you take it with a grain of salt.
But just to circle back real quick, had this on the tip of my tongue, didn't get it out. I do think Devontae Smith, though, he should be the Heisman.
Yeah, I think he's the runaway Heisman at this point.
Right?
Especially
Kyle Trask threw 3 picks in the first quarter, got benched. Done.
Trevor lost his game, 3 fumbles. You know what I mean?
I don't think Trevor was really even in consideration after missing a few games. So Trask is out. Lawrence is out. I don't think Mac Jones gets it just because Devontae Smith and the running back with Nikhil.
No, Najee Harris.
Yeah. They're making Mac Jones look good. So I think Mac Jones should just be happy that he got the nod. But I think, in my opinion, Devontae Smith landslide.
I also agree with you. And you know what? The thing, he's going to be great at the next level. The only thing that scares me a little bit, he's kind of like, he's very, very frail for a superstar receiver. So at that next level, I'm just be a little worried about him getting bullied around by bigger corners. And I think he'll be great and he's going to be worthy of a top 10 pick. But I'm taking the QB at 2.
Plenty of small, skinnier guys who great route runners. I mean, that kid makes it look easy.
No, I agree.
So I think, next week, when we talk next week, we're definitely going to recap on how the Knicks do in this upcoming week.
Yep.
As well as before we do that, Marky, you want to talk about the Knicks?
Yeah.
Past game or two.
I'll catch you guys up. I believe the last time we were on the pod talking to the Knicks, they just beat the Bucks, moved to 1-2. Since then, they're 2-1. They just last night beat the Pacers. R.J. Barrett just owns the Pacers. He's a different player against them. We've seen that time in and time out. Julius Randle still playing great basketball at an all-star level. And the Knicks are 3-3, and they've played 5 of their 6 games against playoff teams. Like, you really can't ask for a better start than that. Really briefly, I just wrote down their schedule moving forward. Their next 3 games, they have the Hawks, the Jazz, and the Thunder. So that's a winnable slate, and I really think they're going to continue to improve, continue to develop that chemistry. I think Tom Thibodeau has them playing great basketball, and they're just a team to be excited about right now. It's a young core, and they're playing great, inspired basketball. So next week we're gonna wrap that up more. We're going to talk about how, they fared this week coming up, and it's exciting times. And, the Jets season obviously will be over. So we're going to be talking more Knicks. We're going to be talking more Jets off season. I'm sure we're going to be talking coaching possibilities for the Jets because we do expect that Adam Gase, that hammer to come down tonight or tomorrow. So it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks moving forward for us.
And we look forward to that next week to recap the Knicks. We'll also, I know we are primarily a New York sports podcast, but I'm assuming next week's episode we're definitely gonna go very in depth with the NFL playoffs. Right, we got 6 games next week. So
exactly.
We'll definitely talk on that. Even though we are a New York sports podcast primarily, there's no reason not to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. And the Giants just had a big win today. This is before the late game, so Hopefully, I've been rooting Giants this year, so hopefully the Redskins find a way to lose this game tonight and the Giants get in. So
a year ago today, do you think that Giants fans would have been like, man, 2021, I'm going to be the biggest Eagles fan ever on Sunday night?
Yeah, exactly. So it should be a fun one tonight. And, I'm definitely rooting Eagles. I'd like to see the Giants get in. Crazy ending to that game with the Wayne Gallman fumble recovery.
It looks like he got it back, but, you can't fumble the ball in that situation.
No,
dude.
that's definitely a scary situation. But also some other quick notes. As you guys know, we're a very young podcast. In the past week, we've had some nice development. Shout out to Georgia Reedy. She developed our logo. And then Luke Carlstrom gave us a great intro.
Oh, shout out to Luke, man. That was awesome.
You guys will hear that in the beginning of this podcast. Let us know how you like it. It really intertwined a lot of our favorite moments in our team's histories. So we're really excited to roll that out.
And just to wrap us up today, I want to just send a message out to the Jets as a whole. 2-14, tough year. I still love you guys, all right? And I'll be back next year, ready to go. So let's get it done. I think that's going to wrap us up for today. I'm Tommy the Beard, sitting across virtually from Marky the Brain. Marky, I will see you next time. Everyone else, you have a wonderful evening.